Business Disability Forum Annual Conference, Back to the Future. How should employers respond to the new normal? 28th June 2023. Online and in person at NatWest Bishopsgate Conference Centre, London. Sponsored by NatWest. #BDF Back to the Future.
The new normal feels like a shrinking workforce with employers in every sector competing for talent and attempting to retain workers as costs rise. To thrive, businesses need to tap into disabled talent. Business Disability Forum's annual conference, Back to the Future, How Should Employers Respond to the New Normal, takes place on Wednesday, the 28th of June in London and online. We'll be asking how employers can change the new normal narrative and recruit disabled talent. Why older workers who might have acquired a disability or are caring for someone with a disability are choosing or having to leave work. And if it's really mission impossible to retain their valuable experience, or if there is a new way ahead for those with the vision to succeed. I'm joined today by Oliver Holbourn, CEO of RBS International. Thank you first of all to NatWest, a long-standing BDF partner, for sponsoring and hosting the conference, and also to you, Ollie, for agreeing to be one of our speakers. So to kick us off, could you introduce yourself, your role, and tell us a bit about being a disability champion?
Of course. And first of all, thank you for the introduction, Diane, and I'm really delighted to be with you here today. So I've been at NatWest now for nearly 5 years. I am, as you mentioned, the CEO of RBS International. And as importantly, I'm lucky enough to be the executive sponsor for Enable and our Neurodiversity Alliance, which are two of our employee-led networks at NatWest Group. In answer to your question around what a disability champion does, I think most simply, they help drive positive change. My role as executive sponsor is to champion the bank's disability and accessibility agenda by removing obstacles that get in the way of us being a diverse, equitable, and inclusive organization. As the saying goes, diversity can be seen as being invited to the party. Inclusion is about being asked to dance, and belonging is being able to dance like no one is watching. And champions strive to create that environment where everyone can dance freely.
I've always been one to dance that's like no one's watching, possibly to the detriment of people who were. But anyway, more seriously, we really can't overestimate the importance of having senior disability champions. So it's fabulous that you were in that role, Ollie, and obviously so committed to it. So why is disability so important to NatWest and also to you personally?
Of course. Well, I think first and foremost, it's simply the right thing to do to care. More than 1 billion people in the world live with a disability or an impairment. It's roughly 1 in 5 people in the UK with a permanent disability and 3 in 5 who have a temporary situational need. So first things first, that's an awful lot of people. I think historically, Diane, the banking industry hasn't been as progressive or as diverse as it should have been. And although some progress has been made, I think there's a lot more still to do to change that narrative. At NatWest, our purpose is to help people, families, and businesses to thrive. And we have an opportunity, we think, to make a massive difference, given that we serve 19 million customers. And part of the way that we can do that better is by tackling inequality head on, wherever we can, by serving our communities and designing accessible services for all of our customers. And if our processes and practices are designed in a way that do that, and take into someone's consideration, someone's needs, we are enabling as many people as we possibly can. Ultimately, we want to give everyone who works for us and every customer we serve the chance to thrive. On a personal level, I have a long-term back injury, which requires daily management in the form of a number of exercises before I get to work. And it requires a regular recipe of sitting and standing. And also as a father of 2 neurodiverse children, or as I prefer to think about it, kids with superpowers, it's really important for me that both our colleagues and our customers can thrive in an inclusive environment.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Ollie. I mean, we talk so much about the power of sharing and about storytelling, and I think you've just brought that to life fabulously. And of course, it's the right thing to do, but it's also good for your business, enabling your customers and your employees to thrive. So NatWest is both hosting and sponsoring this conference. Thank you again. What are you hoping might be some outcomes from the day, and why would you encourage businesses to attend?
Yeah, of course. Well, look, I mean, first of all, thank you to the BDF for the opportunity for hosting this conference. It's the first time we've done that. I think it's an important milestone for us as an organization. I think as well, what you do is a great job of bringing communities of people together so that we can collectively address and make positive moves to help both disabled and neurodivergent people live their fullest potential. I think lots of people will come to this conference at different stages of the journey, but I think by working together, by coming to the conference, listening to the experts, asking questions, you'll learn, and hopefully you'll be able to take at least one or two actions away, positive changes that you can make either to the way that you live your life or for your organization. And we know that a recent census from you, Diane, tells us that 49% of working age adults still feel excluded from society because of their condition or impairment. And disabled people, we know, are 50% more likely to face barriers to accessing digital and online services. So I think a great outcome would be everyone learns something and everyone takes at least one, if not two, positive actions afterwards, to help more people feel included.
If we can achieve that, I will be very, very pleased indeed. And one of the things that we are looking at is, of course, talent. Employers are certainly experiencing massive challenges recruiting talent at the moment. So what can employers do to recruit disabled talent from school leavers to graduates? And what is NatWest doing in this space? Yeah.
Well, look, I think we can all probably be bolder and braver in some of the choices that we make, and I include, NatWest in that stable. I think we recognize that applying for a job, perhaps particularly in finance, but across the board, can be daunting for people who have different accessible needs. And so I think what we need to do first of all is create that psychologically safe environment where applicants are welcome to share any adjustments they need or support. And I think that's a first really important step. I think we also have to challenge ourselves as to whether or not our internal recruitment process are designed to bring the best out of those applicants. How do we help them shine? And if we don't think it's working, then we need to make those changes to that interview process to help them be the best that they can be, on the day. One of the things we've done is used our early careers program because we think that's a valuable way of making sure that we invest in future generations, particularly those people with impairments and disabilities. So we're offering more than 1,000 opportunities across that program, apprenticeships and graduate programs to get those sorts of people into business. But I want to be honest, Diane, it's not that easy. There are quite limited options, I would say, in terms of recruitment companies that really focus on making sure that we access the best and the broadest possible talent, those people who have disabilities and conditions. So I really think that we need to dial that up. But ultimately, we have to make these changes because we want a workforce that reflects the society that we need. And unless we make these changes on an ongoing basis, that's just not going to be possible.
Well, I think that's a great call to action for any recruitment companies watching or listening to this. And the more that really big household name organisations like NatWest say, we want a diverse talent pool, we want a diverse long list, short list, and that includes disabled talent, that will be so key to shifting the dial. So that's one end of the spectrum. At the other end, employers are struggling to retain older, experienced workers. And we know that most people acquire a disability during their working life rather than it being present from birth. And people might also acquire caring responsibilities as they get older. So what can employers do to support and retain older workers?
Well, I think the first thing they should do, and I mean this genuinely, is come to the conference, because there'll be a whole bunch of things that you can learn, practical things and takeaways. But I think what you probably have to do is be open to change, first of all, and then put yourself in the shoes of those who you want to attract. So if we're looking at older workers, there are a number of things that we try and do to help. We've got a number of supportive measures to support both colleagues and their line managers. So we have a dedicated team to help with workplace adjustments. And I think really crucially, any cost to those working conditions are borne centrally. So there's no financial influence for the manager not to put them in place. So again, you just take away that barrier. And that's been a really big thing for us, and it's been hugely positive. We've also changed our carers leave policy. So we now have detailed guidance to help colleagues if they want to take time off, whether that's because they have a long-term issue or because they have a relative who has an issue, whether that's because they're sick or disabled, whether that's because they're a partner or broader family. We also have what we call an employee assistance program, which is open to all of our employees. It's completely anonymous, and it gives not only colleagues, but also family members access to a wide range of tools, education and support services, including mental health counselling, including guides on caring, physical health, financial and social well-being. And then in 2020, we introduced our new ways of working, which has, I think, a really great level of flexibility for our colleagues in terms of how they want to work, finding a working pattern that suits them. So we have sort of a home first, hybrid, and then office first. And I think when you combine that with our fabulous employee-led networks, which we have in various forms across the organization, that just gives you a great peer-to-peer support network, so that people can find a way of working with people who are passionate about the same things as them. And that just leads to a great working environment. So look, I'm proud of some of the initiatives we put in place. There's clearly lots more that we can do, and look forward to the conference where hopefully we can share more of those things and take learnings forward. Because as I said, I think we have to be open to change on a consistent basis.
Thank you, Ollie. That sounds amazing. And if I didn't already have the best job in the world, I think I'd be applying to come and work at NatWest. I'm particularly pleased that you've got a central central budget for adjustments. That makes such a difference. And yeah, it's great to hear of all the support you're providing in a really, really holistic way. So thank you so much for that. And thank you, Ollie, as always, for your support and for joining me today. And if you're listening to this, we do hope you will join us for our annual conference, either in person or online on the 28th of June. BDF members and partners can attend free of charge. For non-members, it's £350. You can visit our website to book your place at businessdisabilityforum.org.uk. We hope to see you there.